welcome back to another one, you guys. If you are new to the channel, my name is Andrew with Younger Toyota in Hagerstown, Maryland. For more information on our inventory, please feel free to check out the link in the description box below. So today we're in the brand new 2025 Toyota Land Cruiser because this one is a true off-roader. You do get 2 years or 25,000 miles of complimentary maintenance as well. And in my humble opinion, it does have a very nice design to it as well. So ultimately in this video, we will be testing out and going over everything about this one. So having said that, what do you guys say? Let's just go ahead and jump right into it. And as always, let's start with pricing. And so for the 2025 Land Cruiser, the trim levels have been reduced from 3 down to 2. First one, you got the 1958 edition, being the one we are in today, starting at $56,700, which is a $750 bump from the 2024 model year, in case you were curious. Then you have the Land Cruiser trim. That is what Toyota called it. That one is going to start at $61,470. But regardless of the trim level that you go with, the power plant on the Land Cruiser is going to be the same. Powering the beast is a 2.4-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder with 2 electric motors, putting out 326 horsepower combined at 6,000 RPM, 465 pound-feet of torque coming in at 1,700 RPM. That power being sent to all 4 wheels through Toyota's full-time 4-wheel drive system on the Land Cruiser. That's pretty cool. And that power being sent to the ground through an 8-speed automatic. 0 to 60 time is going to come in at approximately 6.6 seconds. That's plenty respectable, and we'll test that out here in a little bit. With MPG numbers coming in at 22 in the city, 25 on the highway, taking premium unleaded fuel. And so before we do any kind of fun acceleration test here in the Land Cruiser, did want to mention to you guys the drive modes. There's a circular dial kind of located just in front of the shifter, and there's a button just below that as well. But drive modes are substantial. You get Eco, Normal, Sport, Auto, Dirt, Snow, Mud, Rock, and Deep Snow as well. That's quite a bit. Adjusting things like the shift points, the throttle response, the steering sensitivity, all that fun stuff. So now I've got all of that out of the way, what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and find it straight away. Let's put the acceleration here to the test, and let's see how quickly we can get our new 2025 Toyota Land Cruiser here up to speed. All right, sport driving mode. Let's go, baby. A little bit of a delay at the beginning there. That's plenty of pull for as big of an SUV as this is, though. Yeah. You're definitely not going to have any issues emerging onto the highway. There was a little bit of a delay. It's kind of surprised me because you got 2 electric motors. So typically with 2 electric motors, you don't get any kind of a delay, but it is turbocharged 4-cylinder. So I guess it's to be expected. But having said that, not going to have any issues emerging onto any highways here in the US. That's plenty of an acceleration, especially when you consider the size of the Land Cruiser. So it's still a relatively large SUV. But anyways, to go along with that acceleration, as always, braking is equally important. So up front, you will find 13.1-inch ventilated front discs. In the back, 13.1-inch solid rear discs. As far as that 60-0 stopping distance goes, that comes in an insanely impressive 117 feet. That's typically a sports sedan number, but let's go ahead and hit the brakes. Whoa, 100% on the firmer side of things. Love the braking feel in the Land Cruiser, so instantly brings you to a stop. A lot of times with SUVs, it's like a soft or a squishy braking feel. Not all the time, but a lot of times you can get that. But yeah, this feels like a sports sedan when it comes to braking, so that is a big plus in my book. But now let's go ahead and touch on suspension and handling, because this is really what makes the Land Cruiser unique. So up front, you're going to get an independent double wishbone type front suspension. In the back, 4-link rear suspension, front and rear stabilizer bars. Did want to mention though, you do have crawl control, which is pretty darn cool. So you can slowly navigate the sand, let's say, in Astique Island in Maryland, and you can ride with the wild horses and all that. So you got that. You got downhill assist control as well. You got center and rear locking differentials, so you can split the power 50-50 for a little improved traction if you're going off-roading. Also, there's an available stabilizer bar disconnect system, which increases suspension flex if you really wanted to go all out. But overall, as far as ride quality goes on our paved roads here today, it's been perfectly fine in my short little test drive. Definitely don't have any issues with maybe taking this thing on a long road trip. It is a pretty nice ride quality that we got going on here. As far as steering feel goes, it's weighted on the heavier side of things, which I personally appreciate. A lot of times with SUVs, you find loosey-goosey steering feel, so I really like the steering feel here in the Land Cruiser. Big fan of that. As far as cabin noise goes, this is literally the perfect test. I'm going 57 miles per hour right now. It's a pretty darn serene cabin, quite honestly. I expected a little more road noise, a little more wind noise, so it's kind of like a luxury like cabin. And I gotta say, I'm a big fan of that as well. Kind of reminds me of a Lexus just driving down the highway here. But touching on rear visibility then, because of the shape of the Land Cruiser, you're 100% not gonna have any issues with rear visibility whatsoever. But touching on forward visibility a little bit, rain sensing windshield wipers, they do come standard on both trim levels of the Land Cruiser. And I did want to mention though, there is a head-up display that is optional for that upper Land Cruiser trim level. So not with the 1958, but it is an optional feature otherwise. So we don't have it with us here today, unfortunately. But anyways, that pretty much rounds out the performance segment of this review, guys. Let's go ahead and get off-road a little bit, and let's check out the exterior now of our new 2025 Toyota Land Cruiser. All right, so here she is, you guys, the new 2025 Toyota Land Cruiser, finished in black SUV on the white snow. I think that looks pretty darn good. But as always, let's go ahead and start with where the Land Cruiser is made. Taking a look at the VIN, first character is the letter J, indicating that the Land Cruiser is built and assembled in Japan, as it should be. But let's go ahead and start up front on the Land Cruiser here. You got that Toyota Heritage front grille that does come standard for both trim levels. You got LED headlights to the sides, that also coming standard. But the headlight difference is probably the easiest way to tell the difference between the two trim levels here. So the 1958 edition is going to have circular headlights like you're currently looking at. However, the Land Cruiser trim is going to get those rectangular headlights like on the last generation, essentially. So I do want to make sure everyone knows about that. LED daytime running lights will come standard to get the automatic feature. You also get automatic high beams. So if you have your high beams on at night and it senses a vehicle coming in the opposite direction, it's going to automatically dim them back to low beams. And when that vehicle is gone, it's going to automatically bounce it back up to high beams for you there. Down below, you guys can see those LED fog lights. They will come standard for both trims as well. All the way down below here, I don't know if you guys are going to be able to see it, but there are front skid plates, so gotta appreciate that. And the ground clearance, in case you're curious, comes in at 8 inches even, which isn't the best out there, but it's not the worst either. It's pretty much, I don't know, middle of the pack, I guess you could say. But anyways, that pretty much rounds out the front end of the Land Cruiser. Let's now go ahead and swing around to the side. All right, so now since we are around to the side of this one, if you are looking for roof rails that will come on the upper trim level, but not the 1958 trim, so wanted to make sure you know that. Running boards for the Land Cruiser trim as well. However, they are optional on the 1958. We got some of those. Rear privacy glass does come standard either way. Taking a look at the side mirrors, they're going to be finished in black, of course. They are power adjustable. They are heated. You do get integrated turn signals within them as well then. And then taking a look down at the wheel setup, 18-inch dark gray metallic alloys for the 1958. I think they look dang good. I got no issues with those. And then 18-inch matte gray alloys for the Land Cruiser trim level. However, that pretty much rounds out the side profile. So I'll go ahead and swing around to the back. All right, so now since we are around to the back of the Land Cruiser here, all the way to the top, body-colored shark fin antenna. Just below that, rear spoiler with an integrated brake light. Just below that, you got the rear window wiper. But one of the coolest features about the back end of the Land Cruisers is this little button right here. If you press that, that actually pops the rear glass. There's a handle right here, and it just opens up. So if you back this thing up on Aztec Island on the beach, you can hang out in the cargo area and just have this perfect view out onto the ocean and just relax. And that sounds absolutely amazing to me right now in the snow. But anyways, I absolutely love that feature. Toyota always finds ways to open up that rear glass in the back on their vehicles, so I love it. Anyways, just below it all, you will then find a single exhaust outlet. It is tucked away underneath on the driver's side there, with the spare tire right next to it, of course. But as always, I do believe you guys know what we have to do next here. Here is that exhaust clip. So now since we are around to the back of the Land Cruiser, when it comes to opening that rear lift gate, it is going to differ depending upon the trim level that you go with. Yet again, you're going to get a manual lift gate from the 1958 edition that we have today, but then a power lift gate for that Land Cruiser trim level. But once opened up, cargo capacity comes in at 37.5 cubic feet. If that was not enough space, of course, the rear seats do fold down, and that's going to bump that up to a pretty impressive 82.1 cubic feet. There's a 120 volt power outlet in that cargo area. You do have some LED cargo lighting back there. There's chrome plated tie down anchors, and if you were to lift up underneath of that cargo floor, you're going to find a little bit of in-floor storage. Not a ton, but you do got a little bit back there. But then making our way up to the rear legroom, that comes in at 26.7 inches. Not a ton on paper. camper, but for reference, I'm even 6 feet tall. I was able to fit actually, so no issues for me personally. Rear center armrest with cup holders coming standard for those rear passengers back there. 12-volt power outlet. You get dual rear USB charging ports as well. And tri-zone climate control actually comes standard too. So not just the driver and passenger, but the rear passengers can set their own temperatures back there as well. But now let's go ahead and make our way up to the front seats. Manually adjustable cloth seats for our 1958 that we have with us. I don't have any issues with them. Heated front seats do come standard. That kept me plenty warm there. Softex upholstery for the Land Cruiser trim. Ventilated front seats for the Land Cruiser trim. And then an 8-way power driver's seat with power lumbar for the Land Cruiser trim as well. So like I was saying, absolutely no issues with seat comfort. That's something Toyota and Lexus always does an amazing job with, and it's no exception here in the Land Cruiser. So very well done, Toyota. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the steering wheel, because this is pretty cool. You get tilt and telescoping, of course, but leather wrapped, power adjustable for the Land Cruiser trim. And then you got to appreciate the heritage Toyota lettering going across the middle, as opposed to the Toyota emblem that you typically get on everything else. So I thought that was pretty cool. But now let's go ahead and make our way to the startup. Let me start by showing you guys the key. It is a pretty basic key. You got your Toyota logo, lock and unlock basically, but it is all keyless entry with a push button start. So all I'm going to do here is simply put my foot on the brake and press that engine start button located just by the driver's right knee. And so once started up, gauge cluster again is going to differ between the trim levels. You're going to get a 7-inch digital screen for the 1958, but then a 12.3-inch digital gauge cluster for that Land Cruiser trim level. But it does give you your outside temperature. It gives you time of the day, of course, how many miles you have left until you hit empty. It does adjust the color slightly dependent upon the drive mode that you put it in, but overall it was okay. Wouldn't have minded a bit more customization if it were me. But now let's go ahead and make our way to overall interior quality. If you wanted a power moonroof, that is going to be optional on the Land Cruiser trim level. LED interior lighting will come standard. Wireless phone charger optional for the Land Cruiser trim. Auto dimming rear view mirror with HomeLink controls actually does come standard, so I was a big fan of that. Like I said before, tri-zone climate control coming standard. Just in front of the shifter, you got a little bit of storage there. It's not rubberized or anything. That's definitely where Toyota wants you to put your cell phone. To the right of the shifter, you got your dual cup holders, and then within the center armrest, definitely a decent amount of storage in there. And I do like the Land Cruiser lettering etched in just above the passenger side glove box there. I thought that was a cool little design element. You got all the oh crap handles everywhere too. That's pretty cool. But overall, I will say everything is kind of finished on the basic side of things. You got your matte black door handle straight off the Corolla. The volume knob is straight off the Corolla as well. So a lot of matte black finishes, which quite honestly is a little bit surprising considering the price point of this vehicle, but I suppose it gets the job done. But now let's go ahead and take a look at the infotainment screen. And so an 8-inch color touchscreen display is going to come on our 1958 edition we have with us here. 12.3-inch color touchscreen display though coming on the Land Cruiser trim. Either way, you get Bluetooth and audio streaming, Android Auto, Apple CarPlay. You can check out your driving statistics up there. You can also check out your radio information. So when it comes to the sound systems, you're going to find 6 speakers for the 1958, 10 speakers for the Land Cruiser trim, and then there is an optional sound system for that Land Cruiser trim level only. That's going to be a 14-speaker JBL sound system. So we do have the 6-speaker sound system with us here today. So what do you guys say? Let's go ahead and turn on the radio, see what we got playing today, and let's test out the clarity of this one. It was a 6-speaker sound system. I mean, it's not that bad, quite honestly, for a 6-speaker sound system. It did all right, but yeah, you could definitely tell it's a 6-speaker sound system, and if you like music, maybe go with a higher trim level or the optional JBL sound system if you wanted it. But last thing I wanted to mention to you guys on the infotainment screen at least is when you do put the Land Cruiser in reverse, you will find a rear view camera coming standard across the board, letting you know who or what is behind you, which is always is going to lead us into safety. And so front side curtain airbags do come standard, but you also get driver and passenger knee airbags up front as well. You don't always get that. In the back, you're going to have latch, aka lower anchors and tethers to children for the rear car seats, rear child door locks, tire pressure monitoring system, but also coming standard, Toyota Safety Sense 3.0. That gives you a ton. That gives you a pre-collision system with pedestrian detection, dynamic radar cruise control, lane departure alert with steering assist, lane tracing assist, road sign assist, proactive driving assist, blind spot monitoring system with rear cross traffic alert, and front and rear parking sensors then as well. That is definitely a good bit. So overall, when it comes to my final thoughts, I personally love the look of the Land Cruiser. I think it looks so stinking awesome. Definitely a big fan of the exterior styling. Also, it's very off-road capable with the locking differentials and the crawl control. I would love to test out the crawl control thing in some sand on the beach or something like that. It's not really going to do me any good testing it out here in this very light snow that we have right now. But anyways, love that it's available on there. And so, but that is about it for this one, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to follow Younger Toyota on social media somewhere on the screen there. Be sure to hit the subscribe and the bell notification button if you're into new car reviews and all of our fun YouTube shorts we put on our channel as well now. Do appreciate you guys watching more than you know, and we will see you guys all in the next video. Bye.